Hello everyone, my name's Tomato Anus, also known as the Little Tripod, and this is a speedrun to sleep with everyone in Fallout New Vegas. Hit me. I've made a video covering this run before, but that was literally over half a decade ago, and this run is a lot faster now and has some stuff in it that I've never gotten to show off in New Vegas before. Plus, to make this video possible, I'm working with the world record holder for this category, Tomato Anus. There's 12 NPCs you can sleep with in New Vegas, and the goal of this run is to bone them all as fast as possible. And no, you can't sleep with Cass or Old Ben. Stop leaving comments saying you can sleep with Cass or Old Ben. Not unless you mod the game, but speaking of mods, New Vegas runners are allowed to use one mod in their run. The New Vegas Anti-Crash mod that's bundled on speedrun.com with a DLL made by our community's anchor being, Radioactive. It's the only mod allowed in runs submitted to the leaderboard on speedrun.com and makes crashes less frequent, especially when infinite dashing. More on that later. The only DLC involved for this run is the Mercenary and Caravan packs. The Caravan pack is for the shotgun and armor, which I'm going to sell for caps early on, and the Mercenary pack is for more armor to sell, along with the grenade rifle, which comes in handy at times.
Sei sveglio.
The run begins like any other, with a bald Italian man yelling at us about pianos.
Ehi, vacci piano, piano.
Doc's opening dialogue is the only one we can't skip through, so we use the Italian dialogue files. His lines are faster and save 4 seconds. So there are a couple partners who only sleep with guys and a couple partners who only sleep with girls. I'm going to start as a guy, get the 2 male exclusive partners out of the way, then choose to rebuild my character and change to a woman.
Come me la sono cavata.
The stats, skills, and traits I pick when I rebuild, I'll have for the rest of the run, so my stats, skills, and traits I choose with Doc breathing down my neck don't matter. Previously on Tomato Anus.
Hey, what happened to your neck? Oh, I slept on it, funny. Here, let me help. He slept on his neck, funny. Here, let me help. Hey, Minnesota guy, what's the extension cord for? Nightlight for my room. Ever since you and my dad helped with my neck, I've been scared of the dark. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, don't think about it. Hey, you know what else is scary though? Data brokers making your personal information readily available for viewing on the internet. That's what this video's sponsor is for, Delete Me. Oh, they help you protect yourself by removing your info from hundreds of data broker sites, don't you know? Stuff like your name, age, address, email, phone number, and more. Exactly, they help protect you from threats like doxing, identity theft, stalking, and more, just by removing your info for you. I love the reports they provide listing all the places they found your info, the listings they're removing, and how much time they saved you. Don't forget the dashboard too, where you can view an overhead breakdown of it all and add more info for them to search for. You can get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans by going to joindeleteme.com/tomato20 and using code tomato20. Again, that's joindeleteme.com/tomato20, code tomato20. Hey, what's up with the extension cord? We only have the one outlet. I need a nightlight because you punched my throat. Here, let me help. Thanks.
When Dr. Mario stands me up straight like his morning wood, I finally gain control and can quick save quick load twice to skip lines of his. I dump all my stat points into strength to get out of the vigor tester as fast as possible, since again, the stats, skills, and traits I pick now don't matter since I'll be rebuilding later anyway. I quick save quick load to skip more lines, then after shoving my morning wood into Dr. Mario's back to get him to walk faster, we do a cute little synchronized twirl sit. You can't quick save quick load through box dialogue like this, so I just mash to get through as fast as possible. After I stand up at the end of this, I'll talk with Dr. Mario and choose to play on hardcore. I'll then quick save quick load to clip through the wall in the corner to fall out of bounds and COC to the front door. COC stands for center on cell and is when you spawn at a predetermined location in the area when you fall out of bounds. So I choose to play on hardcore for 2 reasons. The first is that ammo has weight. This makes an item duplication glitch possible. If an item you want to dupe spawns in a container and you put a stack of a weighted item in the container, then click on the stack and press take all in rapid succession, you can take a stack of the item you want to dupe. I do this here for Mantis eggs since I'll need them for a quest later, then bind my grenade launcher and head to shop with Chet in Goodsprings. Here I'll shop for a 357 revolver and 2 different ammos for it so I can swap between them, and sell the DLC shotgun and armors to get about 700 caps. If Chet doesn't sell a revolver, I have to use the grenade launcher to access his secret inventory where one always spawns. Outside, I infinite dash by, while holding W, double tapping 2 to swap ammo, jumping, pulling up my Pip-Boy, unequipping the revolver, and then holding R to begin zooming forward. I have to quick save quick load pretty often to keep the infinite dash going, otherwise it just ends. I need to discover Sloan for later on, but I'm a bit too high for it, so I let go of W and turn while dropping, then start holding W again and quick save quick load to pick my dash back up while discovering Sloan. I'm flying up towards West Side, and every time the confirmed character pop-up appears, I dismiss it and quick load to just before it popped up. This repeatedly delays the pop-up, and fun fact, the pop-up only appears while you're in the overworld, so after I discover the Thorn for later and enter Westside, it'll stop popping up until I'm back in the Mojave. In Westside, I'll reload dash to cover ground quickly towards the Casa Madrid apartments where I'll be getting my temporary dick wet. Reload dashing is the precursor to infinite dashing and has the same inputs as it, except without the jump or holding R at the end. They only last a short distance and can't be continued endlessly. Upstairs, I spend 275 caps total to speak with Jimmy and Maud, and quick save quick load to skip the fade to black of the world's driest threesome. Down the hall, I then talk with Sweetie and pay her 300 caps for her to taste something sweet herself, which is an experience I, again, quick save quick load through. When I head outside, I'll then fast travel to the Thorn and finally give in to the rebuild character pop-up before entering. I change to a woman for the reasons I mentioned earlier, max out charisma to have higher speech, tag science, and pick the good-natured trait for the boost to science and speech. Pretty much science and speech are the 2 important skills. In the Thorn, I speak to Red Lucy, the one who plays hard to get. To sleep with Lucy, you need to complete the quest Bleed Me Dry, which requires you to bring her 6 different creature eggs. The first is mantis eggs, which I already duped a handful of in the Goodsprings schoolhouse, so here I wait for them to convert to quest items in the top left before talking with her again and progressing the quest. To exit, I'm going to reload dash backwards at the top of the nearby stairs to quickly get to the ladder. Outside, I turn east, back up a little, and quick save before attempting to get an infinite dash that launches me upwards off some rubble. If I mess up, I quick load and try again. Too bad I don't mess up. The launch is so I can cut above and across some out of bounds and discover Freeside's Eastgate before fast traveling to Goodsprings. In Goodsprings, I infinite dash to some nearby scorpion eggs that I drop down to collect for Lucy, with them only having spawned in now. More on the timing of their spawn in a moment. After grabbing the eggs, I launch off a slope and let go of W while going up to cause me to land on an invisible floor, which I reload dash off of to go over a ridge to the Great Khan encampment. I quick save quick load to break my fall and talk with Melissa to progress the quest Don't Make a Beggar of Me before fast traveling to Sloan to further progress the quest. This quest is necessary for greasing Tyrone's flagpole like the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, and after checking the briefcase in here and then going back outside and speaking to the Wasteland gnome, Tyrone will be ready for my reckoning.
Fermati.
I then fast travel back to the Thorn to speak with Lucy to turn in the scorpion eggs and progress Bleed Me Dry so that I can then go get more eggs. While I'm talking to her, I'll get the chance to level up. I'll dump all the points into science since I need to get it to 60 and then pick Black Widow for sexing reasons. So, Lucy's eggs and their spawns. Of the several million eggs Lucy was born with... Oh, wait, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong notes. Of the 6 egg types required for the quest, only mantis eggs and night stalker eggs spawn regardless of quest stage. Everything else requires you to talk to Lucy about in order for them to spawn. For the rad scorpion eggs, I had to turn in the mantis eggs and then ask Lucy what to look for next. After turning in the rad scorpion eggs, she told me that I need to go get some fire gecko eggs, which means that the fire gecko eggs are now spawned at Bootjack Cavern. As I infinite dash from Goodsprings to Bootjack Cavern, I discover both Prim and Walking Box Cavern. Prim for meeting up with Tyrone later, and Walking Box Cavern for the Night Stalker eggs, since again, Night Stalker eggs are always spawned in. This dash is something I really struggled with getting down, since it's a bit tricky to keep track of exactly where Walking Box Cavern and Bootjack Cavern are. Small visual cues really help with this. For example, after discovering Walking Box, I fly towards what I dubbed Boob Mountain, since that's where Bootjack Cavern is. After dropping down to enter Bootjack, I'm going to do a couple dashes to navigate the entry area, then time stop past the geckos. If you unbind right-click on your mouse from anything in the game and mash it as you pull up your Pip-Boy map, the Pip-Boy is lowered and you can walk around, but the game is frozen with a place marker pop-up on screen. The instant you dismiss the pop-up, time resumes. This is super handy for navigating around enemies, which is especially handy in this category since we're stealing a lot of babies from their mamas in this run. After grabbing the gecko eggs, I run into a wall and quick save quick load to clip through and COC back to the cave entrance, where outside, I dash away from some baby geckos, use wait to know when I'm safely away, and fast travel to Walking Box Cavern. Inside, I'll dash towards the back and say red light to some Night Stalkers before item duping their eggs, since again, these eggs are the ones for Bleed Me Dry that spawn regardless of quest stage. You know, it might be time to address stop hopping, the way I get around when not dashing. Pretty much it's repeatedly jumping and flicking the mouse while only holding W while in air. If you press W on the ground, you lose your momentum and have to start again. You can see my mouse while time stopping, which gives a good idea of the flick pattern I do. All runners flick slightly differently though. Some flick more gently and less pronounced, but me, I'm an aggressive flicker. Just ask your grandma's bean. I now fast travel to Prim, having discovered it on the infinite dash to the caverns. Here I reload dash across the bridge and hang a left before making my way inside Tyrone's tent. Since I did the stuff at Sloan for the Don't Make a Beggar of Me quest and took Black Widow, Tyrone is pitching a tent of his own. I quick save quick load to skip singing Harvey Danger to myself and fast travel back to the Thorn to turn in the Gecko and Stalker eggs. Similar to the Mantis eggs earlier, the Stalker eggs start as regular items and only get converted to quest items in my inventory after I talk with Lucy and get the objective to go and collect the eggs. I again watch the top left corner for this to see when a pile of Stalker eggs gets added to my inventory, which is my cue to talk to Lucy again and progress the quest. When I level up here, I'll get science to 60, which makes a future romance much faster. The next type of egg I have to get for her is Cazador. This better be the best lay of my life. I fast traveled to Goodsprings because Cazador eggs are located along the general path that every beginner makes the mistake of taking when they start the game and try to beeline it towards Vegas. Unfortunately, the game crashed here while infinite dashing. Despite the anti-crash mod, sometimes they're just unavoidable. And they're just so much worse when you don't use the mod. This is the big downside to infinite dashing, but thankfully, crashes only lose you a second or two. The New Vegas load remover only progresses the timer when you're in-game controlling your character or controlling the main menu. The timer doesn't tick if the game isn't open, during the boot up production slides, or during a loading screen. I mash the left arrow and enter to quickly select continue on the main menu and hold W to resume the dash from my save. Back to taking the path that every beginner takes, I divert a bit more west and head through Red Rock Canyon, where in back I have to dash through a small gulch to the Cazador eggs. This gulch is the worst part of the run because it's super easy to accidentally get stuck inside of a rock, which if that happens, it's really hard to get out. In my experience, 9 out of 10 times that you get stuck in a rock, you can't get out and the run is dead. After somehow navigating through, I time stop to freeze the Cazadors, grab the eggs, and time stop again so they don't attack me while I try and get another infinite dash going. I'm going to fast travel in a moment, so getting hit by a Cazador is a huge time loss since you take damage over a long period of time and you can't fast travel while taking damage. I ram myself into a slope so that I'm considered on the ground and can wait and fast travel, and I wait a couple hours before heading to the Thorn. The Thorn doesn't open until 6 AM, so this guarantees it'll be open when I'm there. This also mitigates the risk of there being enemies like fiends outside the Thorn, which would make waiting impossible without walking and entering Westside. I'm going to get another level up after talking to Lucy, so I'll dump my points into speech even though the points may as well be from whose line is it anyway at this point, and I'll take the Cherchez La Femme trait for later. I only have one egg left to gather, but I'm going to take a break from roleplaying as a creep who tracks women's eggs and focus on what really matters, getting my Peanuts fly trap fed. One of my future partners is super into clothes, so I'm now fast traveling to Freeside's Eastgate where I'll head to Mick and Ralph's. There I'm gonna item dupe to have over 30 Vault 3 jumpsuits that I can love bomb my partner with. You know, I'm starting to think the courier might have a few toxic tendencies. I'm then going to dash my way to the Atomic Wrangler and wait until 1 PM so James Garrett with 1T is on shift. I'll then talk with him to start Wang Dang Atomic Tango, a quest that makes 3 NPCs bonable. While I do that though, I'd just like to say, as always, that I hope you're all doing well. If you're not, then please remember, as always, that there is a tomorrow and that no feeling is final. No matter what's going on, it cannot take that away from you. How you're feeling does not define you, and I know that it feels like what's going on is all there will ever be. But that isn't the case. It happens little by little, so small you likely won't notice day to day, but someday in the future you'll be able to look back and see how far you've come. You'll see that where you're at now, well, it's just that. Where you are rather than who you are. There is so much more to you than how you're feeling, and you're so much stronger than you realize. Please keep that in mind. Back to the run, I'm now dashing over to Cerulean Robotics. Upon entering, I'm going to take out my grenade launcher and also turn hardcore mode off since I'm done item duping and it's safer to play without hardcore, but that reminds me, I never said the second reason why I play on hardcore in this run. The second reason I play on hardcore is so that I can yell about it being the only way to play in YouTube and Reddit comments to compensate for the grain of rice sitting above my testicles. After casually moving a 100-year-old corpse and taking the key it was guarding, I stop hop through the next room and use the key to open a tool cabinet containing a terminal access card. I blow up the Jabos using the table to shield myself from the explosion, and then use the terminal card to bypass the hacking minigame while I use my 60 science to arouse Fisto. Sorry, I meant turn Fisto on. Arousing him comes in just 1 second, just like me.
Agente di sicurezza.
After ruggedly riding the robot and letting him recognize his right to rearrange and repair my rectum, I retreat towards the Rexit and rast ravel back to Reside's Gate. I'm now sniffing out my next 2 partners, the first of whom is Sad Eyes Santiago standing by a garbage fire. I sell him on the idea of the movie Poor Things by telling him he should work in a brothel and discover socialism, which his broke ass happily accepts. I infinite dash on over to the Old Mormon Fort then, where the real socialists are. Inside I talk with Beatrix Russell, a ghoul who struggles with the rehab environment of the followers of the apocalypse. When I tell her that she'd get a discount on booze at the Atomic Wrangler, and that she can choose her customers and be rough with them, she needs no further convincing. Anyway, I make my way out of the fort and... what's that? You heard it here first, folks. I'm receiving word the Atomic Wrangler has 2 new sex workers available, so you bet your ass I'm making my way over there at supersonic speeds. Once I get there, I speak with James Garrett with 1T and tell him about Beatrix and Sad Eyes Santiago. This makes them available to sleep with, but first I head outside and wait a few hours to make sure they have enough time to get into their places. When I go inside, I talk to Francine Garrett with 1T and give her 10 Diet Coke lids for a room for the night. I then talk with Sad Eyes and Beatrix and give them 25 Mountain Dew Code Red lids each for a night together.
Buongiorno.
Come stai oggi?
When I get up to the room, I wait an hour so that Sad Eyes and Beatrix tucker each other out and leave a gap for me as the medium spoon, and then sleep with them each individually while the other presumably feigns sleep and listens to the whole thing. And what a soundscape they get to listen to. After whatever the hell that was, I make my way back outside and I'm then going to begin dashing towards the strip. Since I've done most of Bleed Me Dry, I have several thousand Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream zero sugar lids in my inventory, so I can hand over a Ziploc baggie with 2,000 of them in it to the robot bouncer to gain entry to the strip.
Prima di passare il cancello.
I reload dash a couple times to make it to the far side of the strip, where I'll then stop hop my patootie on over to the Vault 21 gift shop. Here I talk to Sarah Weintraub, with her saying she'll let us see just how deep and wide her vault is if I bring her 30 vault suits. This is where that love bomb I prepared earlier finally drops, and after promising her a night to remember, I head to my room and wait for Sarah to arrive and for her pants to go the way of the love bomb. This part takes a while, but not because of Sarah. As soon as she enters the room, she is a woman on a mission, immediately stripping and entering the twin-sized bed that we're going to make twins of our own in. Wait, I'm playing as a woman. Fuck, no semen. You might be asking why I can't quick save quick load away the black screen here, or why I couldn't back at the Atomic Wrangler. That's because it doesn't work. I wish I had more info for you on why, but I just don't. In some cases, you can't skip because there's a cutscene you need to listen to, such as at the Wrangler, or sometimes because there's dialogue during the black, like with Benny later on, but other cases like Fisto or here with Sarah, you can't skip it at all. Not that we'd want to skip our time with Fisto, I mean, look at the dude, he's magnetic. I skip wiping myself off with the curtain after Sarah by clipping out and COCing twice in a row to quickly exit the vault. Back outside, I dash my way over to the tops where one bad boy in a checkered suit is waiting. After having all my guns taken away, I stop hop a bit into the casino to hit the trigger for completing They Went That Away and hop back to Swank. I say to him, could Benny be any more of a bad boss? And Swank agrees, giving me back my guns and a key to Benny's suite. What I level up doesn't matter anymore, so I just dump it into whatever, then rebind my revolver for more dashing. I then make my move on the man of the hour as he's walking down the stairs like he's ready for me to take him to prom, and he starts making his way to his room at the simple suggestion of him tossing his hot dog down my hallway. He clearly underestimates how much I like sex though, and I can only imagine the view he has of me blasting off towards the elevator. I clip out to COC to his room where I wait an hour for him to catch up, then roleplay as a praying mantis as we finish up since I'm kinky like that.
Sei un gioiello di plata.
I only have 3 moments of deviancy left, 2 of which will be at the Gomorrah. Rather than going back out to the strip proper, I instead go to the courtyard of the Tops and clip out of bounds. Many people don't know this, but the courtyards of the Tops and the Gomorrah are in the same cell, meaning I can get to the Gomorrah much faster this way. I infinite dash in the out of bounds to get there quickly, but unfortunately had another crash here. Again though, crashes only lose you a second or 2, so it's not the biggest deal, just an annoyance, and since infinite dashing persists across saves, I can pick up right where I left off after mashing the left arrow and enter on the menu to continue from my last save. I sometimes have trouble clipping into the courtyard properly, so instead I just access the door here to enter the STD casino and exit back out. When I re-enter the courtyard, Joanna will stop me since game recognized game, and I use my speech in the Cherchez la Femme trait to say "les be friends." She then begins walking towards her room where I'll meet her, but I don't waste a moment since I then head over to Dazzle to yodel in her canyon real quick. After quick save quick loading to take my mind off Dazzle, I then head on over to Joanna's room, but I have to wait an hour before going inside. Waiting makes it so she'll be there instantly, but if I wait while I'm inside the room, then she won't talk to me until I exit and re-enter since she likes to watch me come in. And also come in sans in. While I get my freak on, a big thank you to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon. Supporting the channel monetarily like this is wholly unnecessary, but you all do it anyway. By chipping in a few dollars a month, you can get access to updates on videos and videos early, exclusive content like my retrospective series that's uploaded there a full year before it goes live on my other channel, and monthly Q&As. Supporting this way is unnecessary, yet you all do it anyway, so thank you for helping make these videos possible. Back to the run, inside the Gomorrah, I clip out of bounds to COC to the entrance. I then immediately fast travel to the Great Khan encampment from so long ago. This is located next to Quarry Junction, a place littered with Deathclaws that happens to have some Deathclaw eggs right here. After grabbing it, I aim to dash off a sloped rock to get launched straight up in the air and let go of directional keys to land on an invisible platform. This puts me high above the quarry, so I'm far enough away from enemies to fast travel to the Thorn. In a perfect display of a healthy relationship, I've now tracked down all of Lucy's eggs to prove my worth, and I'm headed to her to receive my reward. When I go to speak to her and give her the egg, I ask her if she likes music and dancing, and when she says yes, I ask her if she'd like to go to her room with me to do the YMC gay. I'll now leave you with my reaction on stream to setting this new world record.
Oh, baby. Yo, exclamation point WR, please. Let's fucking go! Sub 19! Let's fucking go! Yeah! Dude! I'm like the third goddamn run of the day. What the fuck? Holy shit! What the fuck?